Today we're looking at the Kaabo Mantis King GT and the Nami Klima, and we're going to do a ride comparison with these. I'm not going to dive super deep into the individual components and like really look at everything with a magnifying glass, because my full review of the Nami Klima is up on Rider Guide's channel where I work full-time, and then I also have a riding review on this channel of that one, and then the majority of this review of this comparison will be riding this the Mantis and comparing it to the Nami in terms of ride comfort. But I do want to quickly look at just some obvious differences in terms of geometry and size and that kind of stuff. I also need to mention that both of these are on loan from Rider Guide, and they're letting me borrow any scooters I want from them as long as I point you guys towards their full reviews. So Paul does the review of the Mantis, and Paul obviously is an expert, and the Nami Klima review is my own review. So go check those out. The link will be down below in the description. So really quickly, component wise, you look at these two and it's really obvious why this is such an easy comparison. These are both kind of light, heavyweight, performance focused scooters that keep the cockpit really simple. They both have this thumb throttle with the dead zone. I don't hate the dead zone as much as other people do, maybe just because I've been using it so much. So the big thing geometry wise to point out is the height difference. The Nami Klima is a good inch and a half taller off the ground than the Mantis. And you'll also see that the springs, the shocks on the Klima, especially the back one's quite a bit larger than the Mantis, with the front ones being a little bit more comparable. There's the Mantis, there's the Klima. So the Klima should have the advantage here. It's a newer scooter. I'm sure it's been in development for a really long time, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Michael Shaw, the designer, the owner of Nami, took a lot of his inspiration and a lot of his design ideas from this scooter, because they really feel very similar and have very similar performance numbers. I'll get into ride feel and performance and all that stuff when I jump on the scooters. So let's not delay any longer. I'm gonna jump on the Mantis King GT for this comparison, because I just barely did a full ride and review of this Klima, and I have a lot more time with the Klima. So it'll be easy for me to jump on the Mantis and tell you what is different about it, and kind of give you my final thoughts on how they compare. So even without comparing it side by side, it's obvious when you get on it that this is a little bit lower to the ground, and the handlebars are a little bit lower as well. They're not crazy low, but it would be nice if they were just a touch taller for me. I'm 6'1". So just from the little time I've ridden this, it's obvious that this scooter and the Klima share a lot of DNA. The throttle's the same. It has a similar top speed. It has very similar acceleration numbers. I think this is about a half a second slower up to 30 miles an hour than the Klima, but it's not slow by any means. I will say that this feels like it does have a slightly different acceleration curve. I feel like it doesn't have the same initial pull that the Klima has. Mind you, it's nothing to sneeze at. Still an absurd scooter. The other thing is that you can definitely feel the difference in height from the ground. The Klima has definitely a little bit more travel on the suspension, and I dare say at high speed, it's a little more stable than the Mantis. I found myself I found myself feeling a little bit more wobbly with the Mantis than with the Klima. Also, don't mind the screen, it is broken. I forgot to tape it down like I did with the Wolf King GT, which is also broken. The other thing is that these brakes also feel really good. I do think the Logan brakes have a bit of an advantage. I definitely give the edge towards the Klima in the braking area as well. My overall impression of this compared to the Klima as I ride the Mantis is that the Klima is kind of the natural next progression of this scooter, of the compact, 43 mile an hour top speed, like performance scooter. This scooter feels amazing. The hydraulic suspension is really, really nice. I mean, if I hadn't ridden the Klima first, I would get on the scooter and go, oh, like, why can't all suspension be like this? And I really feel like Nami has dialed in suspension feel on their electric scooter super, super well. I know this has preload adjustment, but I am just the stock shocks, I am bottoming them out a lot more easily than the Klima. I'm 215 pounds. I slowed down the rebound a little bit, and they rebound at a good speed. It doesn't have a bouncy feel except when I bottom the springs out. So I think a little bit of preload would also help with the way these shocks feel. As far as space on the riding platform and overall like riding position, they feel very similar. With just the Klima, with the taller handlebars being a little bit more confidence inspiring for me. The nice part about taller handlebars is that they back me off of the front wheel and make sure I'm not putting too much of my weight over the front wheel. I do feel like I'm a little more forward on this scooter than I would be on the Klima. So this has the knobby tires on it. So I figured I'd give this a run off-road as well. I've not off-roaded with the Klima, mostly just because it has those street tires and I don't want to chew those up too much. The Klima definitely feels like a street scooter as well as this, but you know what? I said, why not, right? I do a lot of off-roading with scooters like this, so. When you're off-roading, you put a lot more pressure on the stem and handlebars just naturally. And now that I'm actually off-road, I'm feeling the Mantis stem wobble a lot more. I don't think this is recommended or ideal for this scooter. But I mean, it's holding up completely fine. Oh, this screen is falling apart. So the screen has fallen off. So I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts about this. This is a great scooter. I have no problems with this scooter. The way I see it though is that the Klima does everything that this does, just a tiny bit better. I'm not gonna say the Klima is some huge step up from the Mantis King GT, but it is a newer scooter and you would hope that there would be a progression. And so with the Klima being the newer scooter, it has a newer, more cutting edge feel. It's got a little bit of an advantage in that acceleration bite and overall acceleration to 30 miles an hour. It's got a little bit of a taller, floatier, plush feel. And overall it feels to me just a little bit more solid. The overall geometry and size and everything about the Klima just feels better to me. And it is a little heavier, and the Klima does come standard with the street tires rather than the knobby tires. But other than those two things, I can't really find a whole lot that I like more about this scooter than the Klima. So there you go. There's my thoughts. I'm gonna get home before this screen completely falls off the scooter onto the ground. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.